Welcome back, everybody, to the Comic-Con podcast. This is season 2, episode 35. I am one of your hosts, Zack, aka Milton the Manimal, and with me is my good friend Justin, aka Nemesis Prime. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? I am the newest of the Magic the Gathering
Oh my god,
sellers on Whatnot. No, I'm just something new that I'm probably going to be doing for maybe like a week or two, and then that's out. Because once I get rid of all these cards, they're all gone. So
yeah, right. But you're making money, so you're probably gonna purchase more and be like, oh, if you see an opportunity to buy more Magic the Gathering cards, I'm sure you'll do it.
I think I may end up doing like a box of like Pokemon, like just trying it and doing like ripping packs. I
Like
really
a
want
box
to try
break?
that.
Okay, so hold on before we get into that, because I have questions about this because I don't know anything about card games and stuff. This is actually a fun, organic conversation here, but promote real quick for a second. So if you're listening to us, I'm sure you're probably listening to us either on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, or Google Podcasts, or Amazon, correct? Right? So appreciate you guys listening. If you like what you hear, send us a comment, question to the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com, or you can always send us messages to either one of our Instagram accounts, Nemesis Prime, Milton the Manimal, or the Comic-Con podcast Instagram. But yeah, so back to what we were talking about. So card breaks. So is a card break like you buy a pack of cards and it's like, oh, hey, everybody, I'm going to open it here and see what we got. That's what it is?
That's basically what it is. Yeah. So like people will buy boxes of like whatever it is, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Okay.
and it's just the thrill of the hunt to be able to get like whatever. If the thing is, obviously, like some people can't buy cards because the card flippers and scalpers, they buy all the boxes and they can't get the latest thing. So you may spend $10.
Kind of like the cons with all the influencers.
Let me
right?
tell
The
you, I
same
can't
problem.
even imagine like now. Let me answer your question. Then I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like so maybe you'll spend $10, $15, and they break out the cards and they pull out these cards, and then there's also like some people have these older generation like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, so they'll spend hundreds of dollars, and then they pull out, they're like, the fucking Charizard, oh my god, it's a foil Charizard, and obviously that's worth like whatever it's worth, but yeah, like more modern stuff, obviously it's cheaper. But as far as the Magic the Gathering stuff, like I was thinking about this as I've been doing this. I just ended my 4th show today on the 8th.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like we have our community, like comic book people. I can't even imagine like what Magic is like and like Pokemon and like the same thing. Like, are there influencers? Are those people that like say, oh yeah, like I'm doing this card break. These are brand new boxes, and they're really not brand new boxes, or like there's got to be something, right? There's got to be some type of way to scam or sound like you're more important than you really are.
First off, we should team up with this community and just overthrow all the influencers. Like team up and just take them all down once and for all, finally.
All right.
But second, wasn't there a big, actually, surprise, surprise, wasn't there a big controversy on Whatnot about that happening with a card break where someone had like, oh man.
I think it was a Fleer card set.
Yeah.
Like Fleer basketball I think it was basketball.
It was like a fake break, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, and then of course, like we talked about it here on the podcast like a couple months ago, or at the end of last year, the Logan Paul, like he opened up a box of like Pokemon cards, and they were like G.I. Joe or
couldn't have happened to a better person.
Oh my god, yeah. So
this is so random. We had no intention of talking about card breaks and Magic the Gathering, but this is kind of interesting. So here's my thing that I don't understand about these card breaks, right? So I get it, like it's the excitement, you're in the auction, like, oh, well, I won. Oh, okay, now I'm going to open it up, right? That's how it works. You win first, then they open. Okay.
Yeah.
So I find it strange, though, because, like, okay, so with I can only equate this to comic books. Right? You buy the comic book, and you're always worried about the condition. Like, so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, should he saying it's a near mint plus? And then I get this thing, and it might be dinged the fuck up, right? So I would feel like with these card breaks and stuff, I wouldn't necessarily want them to do that and like finger fuck the cards. Like I'd much rather be like, you want it, right? So, okay, ship it to me. I will open it myself, and because it's going to be more secure, unbroken in the box, sealed, I would think, right? I mean, logically that makes sense. So it's kind of, I don't know.
So the
like
thing
you
is,
just can't wait, I guess.
So obviously, for myself being a card expert, just so you
card
step
expert,
back.
huh? Okay.
what like the card collectors, they know like what's the good cards in like the latest series that's coming out or that's out or whatever box they're breaking. So a lot of times what they'll do is if they get like a pack for cheap, they'll go through all the cards and let's just say there's 10 cards in the pack. They may pull one card and be like, okay, like that's obviously the card. Like just send me that. Or sometimes they may just say, just use all the cards as giveaways because they may have gotten nothing. So the
winner will. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the winner may just be like, oh, I got nothing. It was the gamble. You know, it's the same thing like doing raffles for comics. So they open up a pack, 10 cards. They're all common garbage cards, whatever. So they'll just be like, hey, use that as a giveaway or something like that, or give away to the next person that wins.
Well, man, even more so, I feel like you would want to like, second question or another question. This is great. I'm loving this. So how do you even like, well, before you answer this question, I'm concerned or like curious, how do you ship a card to make sure it's like safe and doesn't bend on the corners and stuff? Because I'm sure that's still an issue with cards. And even if you, so a little like a
plastic sleeves. Yeah, there's like plastic sleeves, like little tiny sleeves, and then like it's called a top loader.
Yeah.
And that goes in each. But the way I've been shipping my, I've been doing stacks. So I've been doing lots of like 40. I literally take the 40 cards, I wrap them in like a plastic bag. And then I bubble wrap that. Then I bubble wrap it around, and then I put it into like a bubble mailer, basically.
So would it be like against the rules to like just stack them up, double band a rubber band?
They hate rubber bands. Card people. I'm sure they just like if for the card people that are listening to this, they hate. Yeah,
they're like cringing as I'm like talking about rubber banding this shit.
Well, yeah, because you figure the rubber band then gets it tight, and then it pulls around the card, so it kind of like frays the edge. The same thing like that, if you go to a shop and the way comics are placed on like a, whether a rack or something, you're like, oh, it's already dinged because of the way it's sitting or something like that. Yeah. So card guys and girls are the same way. Like they all have their imperfection. Yeah. So like, obviously like I've been just doing lots. I've been kind of showing the backs, like kind of as like a lot. I'm like, oh, here's all the cards. And here's all the, here's the left side, here's the right side, and then here's the fronts. I was like, they're all in good condition. So here's the thing. In card world, cards are either, their conditions are near mint, lightly played, moderately played, heavily played, and I want to say that's it. So just like our grading system.
Yeah, except after near mint, it's actually like, used.
Yeah, so it's like basic, because that's what it is. Like, lightly played because most of these cards they're card games. So like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, people play them, but a lot of people don't even use these cards because of the value of the card, or they're just collectors. So
So what do you do? So you've got like, oh, I got the Charizard gold foil, and so you just make like a cutout version of it, like a placeholder. I mean, that's what I would do if it was like a valuable card. I'd be like, hey, look, here it is, but I'm not bringing it to the game. Or can you? Or is that the rule? Like you got to bring it to the game.
I don't know. So like when I bought this collection, there was a few cards that said proxy, and I actually Googled. So people like make fake cards.
Yeah, proxy card. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's how. So like, I don't know. There was like 2 or 3 cards that just said proxy. I don't even remember what the cards were. I didn't care. Like I just obviously knew that. Yeah. Like exactly like you said. They literally like scanned something, and like glued it to the card, and that was it. Right.
So should we be expecting like Nerdy Girl to cut some lines and get some Pokemon box breaks before everyone who's waiting in line probably soon?
Probably not, because they don't really do that at conventions, at like our conventions. Like,
sounds like she might get killed. You could get killed within the card community for something like that. Isn't it like there was like this big drama about like Target and shit recently, right? Like people were coming and buying all those like.
Oh, well, yeah, and that's, I forget who I was having the conversation with, but it's like. And it was the same thing. It's the same thing with like toy scalpers. Like for me back in the day, I love how we just completely are not doing anything what we're talking about.
Just cards. Welcome to the CardCom podcast.
Yeah, everyone. Seriously. When I used to work at Target, and this is going back literally 20 years ago, back in like 2002, 2003, I was this team leader for the toy department. So like I had my own, I had toy reps.
Dude,
like
TL? You were the TL for the toy department?
Bro. So like it was great. Like I had like a Hasbro rep, a Mattel rep, like, you name it. So like they come in and they're like showing you all the products that are coming out. And then sometimes like the products would be in the stock room and you wouldn't even know. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, oh, it's street dated for this. So what people do is they follow these reps around. Like they'll
stalk them? Like it's called stalking.
Stalking basically. So they'll go from like the Target to like the Walmart to the Toys R Us back in the day. So they put out the new stuff. So it's the same thing with card people. Like they follow, they see the reps. They're like, oh, because in like Walmarts and Targets, the card reps are typically the ones who put out the cards, not like the normal stock people.
Okay.
So like they'll follow these people like, oh, John's here at Target in New Jersey. Oh, he's going to go to the next store. We're going to follow him. So he puts out the next thing. And then they would literally just buy everything as they were like putting out the stuff. So now what they do is it's all in cages, like in the Targets by me. They're like behind customer service in like a giant cage.
That's so
and
nuts,
you have to
dude.
ask somebody. Yeah. Even the Funko Pops, their exclusive Funko Pops are the same way too.
Wow, dude. Collectibles are wild, man. It's a
It's
weird, wild world we live in.
Yeah, I know. And there's always those people like, again, and this is the same thing going back to when I was in toys. Like there was this guy, there was like these two guys who would come in literally every morning in the toy department and look for the Mattel cars. Because you got to figure Mattels are like tiny little cars. They're little on a card stock hanging on like the hooks. They would go through all the cars to like look for like that certain whatever, like I don't even know what they're called, like treasury cars, or I don't know, whatever they are. But I'm just like, just so you know, like there's no new cards or cars out. Like we didn't restock anything. Like,
Yeah, just hey man,
like nothing
don't waste your
sold.
time.
Don't bother. Like,
Yeah.
but whatever. So you'd see the same people like every day, and eventually
Thrill of the
people got
hunt,
to know
man.
me, and then people used to get to know me. They're like, oh, you run this department, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you know when this is coming in? I'm like, listen, I don't know. No, I really don't.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, it shouldn't be crazy to us in the comic book world, but it is wild to kind of hear about all these other like universes of collecting, but hey, more power to you, card
Oh,
heads.
it's card guys, and again, here, let's go off on another tangent. I was talking to my buddy who I work with, and he's in this toy thing, and this is cool. There is a Facebook group called Collectors Helping Collectors. So
Okay.
like, let's just say like I'm looking for a specific like Batman figure, and you have it or you found it at like a Target or Walmart out in Texas.
Yeah.
You sell it to me for the cost plus shipping. No upcharge at all.
Mhm.
That's why it's called Collectors Helping Collectors. So there's like it's almost like it's basically an even exchange. Like whatever you paid for it, you're gonna get your money back. You're gonna help people out. It's good karma. Like
We could
Yeah.
use some of that in the community.
I don't
The
I don't
comic
even know
community.
if there's like comic stuff like that. I feel like everyone's out to
between
make a
us.
buck.
Well,
yeah.
you get stuff from me, and I think I've picked up a couple things for you, like the Star Wars little graphic novels I found.
Oh yeah, and then all like the not Transformers, all the Dr. Aphra, the Ghost Rider stuff that
Yeah.
you've been looking to complete new
Yeah.
stuff. Like anytime I'm out, I'm like, hey, obviously hell, it's like if I paid $5 for the book, I'm charging you $5, so it's not like an
Right.
upcharge. But yeah, no, that's different. But like on a brand new book, I feel like most people would be like, yeah, just came out $10 plus shipping, but it's $4 at the store. Yeah, but I want double.
Yeah, imagine buying an exclusive that's limited to a certain number for a con, and then turning around 5 minutes later and selling it for damn near double or triple to the community that you claim to be a part of. I mean, imagine that. Imagine a world where that exists. So
I don't know.
anyway, well, fun little card talk right there. And with that being said, we're going to move on to comic community. So this is kind of for lack of a better term, a legacy topic here. Obviously, we talked about it. Everyone's talked about it ad nauseum, and we're not going to get into like the details of the acetate gate of C2E2. But something we did want to talk about that everyone seems to be talking about, and Justin and I kind of want to explore some maybe different aspects of this topic, was obviously, if you guys haven't been paying attention or didn't realize this, the owner of Black Flag Comics recently posted a video kind of expressing some marital issues and situation involving his wife and Clayton Crane. Pretty heartbreaking video, to be honest. And we're going to talk about it, but I kind of want, before we get into like what we think about the situation, I want to preface this by saying, like, I've seen people report on it and kind of talking about it, and I've struggled with like what we should do with this and what I thought would be the proper way to go about this, because this is like different than comic books. I mean, this is a man's life here, and by no means do I have much respect for this guy from Black Flag Comics, but that doesn't mean I wish ill will upon him or, happy to see him fall. I know some people are like, oh, karma, and don't get me wrong, I believe in karma, and quite possibly could be karma. But it doesn't mean I want to glorify. I'm not crazy about all the memes coming out, man. Like you've seen all of them. Like
Yeah, of course.
it's people are going hard on it, and I don't know. I don't think it's crazy, or I don't think it's great. In the video, and Justin's going to play some of the clips of some different stuff for us here in a minute. But he mentioned suicide, and before we kind of talk more, I want to make sure everyone knows, like, the suicide hotline out there. You can pick up the phone, you can dial 988. It's 24/7. It's something you should use if you ever feel like you need someone to talk to, or things are just not going right. Like, please, please, please dial this number, man. Justin and I both are very, very big on mental health. Probably Justin's going to talk about his kind of experience with mental health. So sorry to get so heavy after we just had a fun card topic, but I myself personally, for work, I'm part of a crisis negotiation team. I'm also on the peer support team. I was a peer mediator for a long time. So I think these things are very important. I think we live in a culture where, especially as men, we've been told to not speak about our feelings. And I do not think that's the way to go about things. Mental health is very important, probably the most important thing, probably even more important than physical health, to be honest with you. So yeah, Justin, what about you? What are your thoughts on like the mental health issue and stuff?
Yeah, so obviously, like Zach said, it's a very touchy subject, and Zach and I kind of talked about this, and we don't want to think that we're out there, we're bashing this, Jason Wallace of Black Flag Comics, but it's tough, like I of course, you all know who we are. We're always real. I'll talk about my, mental thing, like, probably 2014, 2015, like even before I met with my wife, before I was even on YouTube, before I even knew there was like a YouTube community, and I was kind of just basically collecting, like, I fell into a depression, like, to no end. Like, I was going to work. I was on depression medication. I would literally go to work. I'd come home. I'd eat. Luckily, I was living at my parents still, so I had them, but like they didn't really know that I was even going to, therapy, that I was on pills. I literally would eat dinner. I'd go back into my room, and literally the only thing, and I've spoken to this to the person, is the only thing that like literally got me through the rest of the night to like just to fall asleep was like Xanax and watching Star Wars Clone Wars on Netflix. It's like, that's how long ago this was, when Star Wars Clone Wars was on Netflix. Like,
yeah.
And I spoke to Ashley Eckstein when I met her in WonderCon, and I said, watching that series like literally got me through like a hard time. And yeah, it's tough. Like, it's legit tough. And I didn't really have anybody to talk to. Like, I didn't know if I could talk to my parents, or I could talk to my brother about it. So yeah, I was in therapy. Like, I was on pills, depression medication. I was on anxiety pills like Xanax because of work and just like other stuff that I was dealing with. Didn't have anybody. It wasn't in a relationship. So yeah, mental health is a big thing. And I know from being, like I just said, like, that's, to me, like, firsthand, like,
right.
Nobody else knows that. And now everybody who's listening to the podcast knows about this. So I have no problem speaking about it. And for the people that are dealing with mental problems, like, please, like, reach out to someone. There's always someone to talk to. And it's just rough. It's an absolute, it was a rough time, especially in my life. And, and then I met my wife probably like a month or two later. We just started dating, and I kind of spoke about it to her a little bit, like, back then. But yeah, it was a rough time, for me. So, for what's going on with the owner of Black Flag Comics, it's very tough. And, obviously, like Zach said, the memes that are out there are pretty wild.
Yeah,
but,
man. Yeah.
The reason why we wanted to bring this up was because, like, the one person in the community who is out there on Instagram and made like a reel about this and really didn't talk about the idea and exactly what this video was. This video was 11 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's called April Wallace Leaves Her Grifter Husband for Clayton Crane. Like, it's over on Black Flag's, comic YouTube channel. But like, the person in question, you may all know him, Reggie Simmons, Reggie Collects, whatever. He did this, reel where he basically talks about it and how he originally thought it was like a hoax and it was fake. And then he kind of goes into it a little bit, but saying like it's sad or whatever. But I don't think he really understood, what it was about. Like, I don't really get it that he doesn't understand that like the gentleman was talking about like killing himself, putting a gun to Clayton Crane's head and forcing him off his property. And that's the thing that I just don't get, why Reggie didn't understand this. Like when he was, doing this, like, I feel like you literally just did this for the views.
Right.
And I
It's
made
the
a
vibe I got
comment.
too.
Huh?
That's the vibe I got too.
Yeah. So I made a comment on Reggie's post, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to read his reply. I said, "We all have struggles in our lives, but adding more fuel to the fire for views is just crude. Maybe if you are going to bring it to your audience, you talk about how he talks about killing himself, and say if you're struggling to get help or reach out to me," meaning Reggie. Mm-hmm. He was a cocky clown, meaning the owner of Black Flag, at C2E2 in his Facebook Live video. Yes, if he was so dealing with these issues, then don't talk to people like they're pieces of garbage and then turn around and cry wolf. So that was my comment to Reggie in a way of saying that not only I think you're wrong for making this video, but also you should have been saying something like this, knowing that in the background of your video, this guy's crying.
Right.
And he responded to me saying, "It's a great point. I've been talking with several people offline about reaching out to him. Several folks have had situations occur in their own lives similar to this and wanted to reach out and offer thoughts and prayers." Did he completely miss like my first opening comments, like statements about this?
Yeah, it rings hollow to me too. Like, yeah, I've been thinking about reaching out to this guy after I just blasted him on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like I said earlier, you struggle to even kind of talk about this, but obviously it's the comic book community and it is news. It's unfortunate news. I'm sure Justin agrees. Neither one of us are fans of what this guy did. Okay, you'll never hear me say anything in defense of this guy, Black Flag Comics. Like, he chose money over ethics, and that never goes well for you, in my opinion. And like I said earlier, the karma thing. People are saying, "Oh, karma. He's getting what he deserves." You know what? Like, I don't know if that equates, bro. Like, just because he screwed you out of like a $60 fucking comic book or whatever it was, I'm not entirely sure that equates for his like life to be
20 years of like marriage or whatever.
His life to be upended. But what I will say is, and Justin and I talked about this offline, is, hey, look, man, you play with shady characters and you play with other shitty people, shitty things happen. You shouldn't be surprised. So I think Justin and I sit on the same side here when I'm not partaking. I'm not laughing at anyone's memes. I don't want anyone to think I'm out here like, because I've had friends, close friends in the comic book community who are posting, memes and stuff about it. And that's just not my style. I don't know. Like, I'll go hard on people who, fuck around, like the influencers. Don't get me wrong, man. I'll get in the dirt on shit like that. But, I don't know, dude. I think this is where I draw the line.
Yeah.
I'm just not with it. And look, as far as I come, my thoughts and prayers with him. It was a hard time. I don't make any excuses for the things he's done. But man, I don't wish this shit on anyone.
No, so. It's definitely rough. And like we said, we're here for the community. So if you have a story or you want to speak to someone, don't be afraid. Reach out to Zack, reach out to myself.
Anytime.
Absolutely will talk to you, whatever, on the phone, Instagram, phone, whatever that is, like chatting, whatever it is. Because like I said, I know what it's like. Firsthand, you all just heard my story. Like it was very heartbreaking and it was upsetting. And yeah, I hated being up. Like going to work, I was so busy at my job that I never think about it. But that's probably maybe because I was on, depression meds. And then like once I was out of work, like I was on Xanax and like just to maintain my balance. And I just didn't want to be up and I couldn't wait to go to sleep every day. And that's you shouldn't be like that. And like you said, Zack, like mental health is probably more important than physical health. So.
Yeah. So, final words on this. Like you said, if you're feeling any kind of suicidal thoughts, or if your friends are, anyone make sure they reach out. 988 on your phone. You can text message that as well. It's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, always available 24/7. If you're listening to us now, you're one of our friends as far as we're concerned. So if you want to reach out, please feel free to do so. Anytime, message you back. Like I spoke earlier, I'm a part of a peer support team. I've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. So everything is very confidential as well. If you ever feel like you do want to reach out and talk, and myself and Justin are always available. So that being said, final words. Yeah, the shit that happened with Black Flag in terms of like the con and everything was fucked up and not great, but I think this is time to have a little bit of grace for us and the community and kind of, let's not dig a deeper hole for this guy.
Yeah.
That's not going to end well. And if you post in memes and this guy ends up killing himself, like, I don't know if that's me, I'm going to feel pretty shitty about it. So
True.
But yeah, boom. Okay, so that shit's done. That was dark. We went from Magic the Gathering cards to like suicide prevention.
Well, we're
very
realists.
important stuff.
It's
Dude,
stuff that needs to be brought ahead.
We're real, bro. Like Justin said. I mean, we'll always talk about the topics. We've never hedged away from any topic that needs to be talked about. So, moving on to comic book news, Jason Aaron's Avengers run ends with Doctor Doom trying to erase Marvel's history. So, break this down for you. Jason Aaron's run on the Avengers concludes with all of Earth's mightiest heroes coming together and Doctor Doom trying to erase all Marvel history. So, if you are reading Jason Aaron's Avengers run right now, you know that there's been kind of an ongoing sort of crossover with Avengers Forever, as well as like a couple one-shots with the Avengers of 1 million BC. This has kind of been going on for a little bit with Jason Aaron's run. We're seeing like this, the new Phoenix, Starbrand, and all these characters. So this is all kind of going to culminate in what they're saying is going to be the biggest Avengers storyline of all time. Okay, so a massive three-part story arc assembling Earth's mightiest Avengers of 1 million BC, and a number of Marvel variants, meaning the characters from the Avengers Forever run. So this all kind of kicks off in, oh man, I lost the date.
December.
December is when the first issue starts? Okay, so yeah, in December it starts, and it's going to run back and forth with Avengers Forever. And Avengers Forever will end at issue 12. I think it's going to start with Avengers Assemble. The arc is called Avengers Assemble. There's going to be an Avengers Assemble Alpha. Then they'll have part 2, part 3, moving forward, ending with Avengers Forever number 12. And knowing Marvel, I bet you there'll be an Avengers Assemble Omega that they just haven't
Of
announced
course.
yet. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So it's good stuff, man. I mean, the run right now is really fun. What you're seeing is Jason Aaron's kind of planted the seeds throughout his run of like this prehistoric Avengers team, implying that Avengers have been around, since the dawn of time. Moving forward to a lot of Mephisto stuff, as well as kind of like a evil. Oh God, it's not Squadron. Multiversal Masters of Evil. So recently in like Avengers Forever and Avengers, you're seeing the Multiversal Masters of Evil, and that's kind of the Doctor Doom, Doom Supreme that we're talking about. We're not talking about the 616 Doctor Doom here, but it's cool, man. I've enjoyed Jason Aaron's run. I'm sure if you've been listening to us for a while, Justin and I's take on runs where like the perfect run is around 30 issues, right? Then so this is kind of moving towards issue 63. Wow. I'm assuming it's going to end at like 65, because they always ended at like a.
Yeah, I would think it's going to end at some point, especially with all the Avengers, because obviously this week they just have that all out Avengers number 1. Right. So I think Jason Aaron's story will be done by the end of this. And what's interesting is like they have the big baddie is Mephisto. That's what they're talking.
Yeah, one of the big baddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of been pulling the strings on this multiversal Masters of Evil behind the scenes a little bit, but it should be good, dude. I mean, I think it's about time for Jason Aaron to move on from Avengers, and we'll end it. We'll start, I'm sure, with a new number 1 and a new team moving forward. But it's been good. If you haven't read it, if you aren't reading Jason Aaron's run, I would suggest it. I wouldn't by any means say it's groundbreaking. But it's been enjoyable. I haven't been like, oh God, okay, another Avengers book. And the Avengers Forever stuff's been pretty cool too with the different variants. So, have you been reading this at all?
No, the only thing I have been reading is the Forever.
Okay.
I talked about it the last issue with the Thor, the Thor Iron Fist
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
crossover
yeah.
thing was pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much. I haven't read the regular Avengers. I know the with the 1 billion BC Avengers,
Mm.
but I've been really only keeping up with the Avengers Forever just because I know it's going to be a shorter run.
Do you feel like just reading Avengers Forever, you're getting the story? Like
A little bit. I mean, obviously with the multiverse of evil characters, I get it a little bit, but of course, like if they do it well, where Avengers Assemble or the regular ongoing Avengers can continue and you can understand everything. But I think that's what probably the Alpha will do, like the
Yeah.
one shot to start in November, and then everything will start in December, and then, like you said, we'll probably get an Omega. So
Yeah, for sure. When's the
I
last
think
time
I'll
they
be
did an
fine.
Alpha and no Omega?
Yeah, right. Like they have to. It's
You know what? That reminds me. Speaking of that, because I think they did that with Daredevil, the Devil's Reign stuff. They did Devil's Reign Alpha, and I think initially they had no plans to do an Omega, and then when Omega came out, it was honestly I want to say like well, not a month because that'd probably be normal, but like it was a month and a half later or something. It felt like they were like, oh, here's an Omega, like they totally forgot about it or something.
yeah.
I don't know. So cool. Yeah, check that out. Avengers Forever, Jason Aaron's epic run, culminating in the largest Avengers crossover or event of all time. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about the new Black Adam trailer that just dropped today. Justin, lead us into it.
Yeah, this is of course the second trailer. This trailer definitely shows off a lot more stuff. Of course, coming out in just over a month, October 21st is right around the corner for the first, I guess, real big DC film. Like first, I guess, post Suicide Squad and right, nothing else, right? Other than
Wonder Woman.
well, like the Batman,
Yeah.
obviously there was that, but as part of like the cinematic universe that's still engulfed in the Snyderverse, right?
Right.
So this latest trailer definitely shows a lot more of the heroes. You get a lot more of I love it. Hawkman, you get Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Doctor Fate, and I mean Black Adam, man, he's just awesome. Like The Rock is just doing his thing. You see a lot of stuff in the background, these interstellar, space riders and like the guns. I definitely think it's like the what's that organization from DC, the Inner Yang, because they use a lot of weapons from like Apocalypse. So I feel like that's what you see a lot of that, because that's the only thing that I'm thinking that could actually harm Black Adam. In the trailer, you don't really see too much that can harm him unless it's the heroes trying to hold him back. But
Right.
he's got some badass quotes. He's got the "I kneel to no one." That's kind of like a Zod thing. I really want Cavill to come back and play Superman to fight him.
Yeah, it looked epic, dude. For sure, this trailer definitely emphasized more of the Justice Society. You even got like a little bit of, the name drop for the Justice Society. I think we knew Amanda Waller was coming, but it was awesome to see her in the trailer, hear her voice. And so that really kind of ties everything together. Like, I know all of us out there are really hoping, of course, everything's like an upheaval with, the Snyderverse and all that, but like they got to stick to it somehow and just move forward and no reboot, keep it connected, go forward. It's the only way to do it. So having little characters like Waller being there, like in Peacemaker and here and everything really connects it all. So, yeah, it looks great, dude.
I'm sure you got the X-Men vibes when the jet comes out of
Right,
opens
definitely.
up like out of in the front of the mansion. I'm just
In
like,
the
well, that's like a stolen from like X-Men.
Honestly, I actually looked at the mansion. I was like, is that the mansion they always use in like the X-Men movies and like all that stuff too, for sure. Yeah. Total ripoff DC. Surprise.
Yeah,
surprise.
Dr. Fate looks great. I think
Yeah.
he's going to be amazing in that too. And these are characters that could stay around for like if they do well, maybe a solo movie or showing up somewhere else,
Like
their
Justice
own
Society
movie.
origin. Yeah.
Yeah, just give them their own movie if this
Yeah.
does well. So I mean, you got 4 characters that are big, decently, they're names that have been around for a while for the most
Right.
part. I mean, Cyclone's probably the youngest, early 2000s, but everybody else has been around since like the 40s or 50s. So
Yeah, dude. And you could bring in new characters, either like Hourman, Dr. Midnight, Sandman, which we're going to talk about some Sandman here coming up. But
Yep.
yeah, it looked good, dude. It looked really good. It's nice to see they didn't push the date back like every other DC property right now.
I feel like they needed at least one movie to make some money this year, basically.
Yeah. So cool. Great. That's fun stuff. So moving on from that, we are going to talk. Let's roll right into Sandman. We're going to do a Sandman review. So obviously Sandman dropped. It's been a while. We're definitely kind of late to the party on the Sandman review.
At the end of July.
Into July, right? Yeah.
Well, there was so much. There was Paper Girls. There was this. There was everything that was coming out. You know,
Right.
We're not like IGN or other places that literally like binge watch it or have
no one's
seen
paying me to sit there and watch shit. Unfortunately,
Yeah, like I'm not gonna do it all in 1 or 2 days and then immediately we're gonna do the review. Like,
Yeah.
take some time. Like, give a chance to everybody to watch it.
So this review is coming from two people who haven't read Sandman. So what are your thoughts, Justin?
So, not knowing the universe at all, I loved it. I thought it was badass. Like, I know from speaking with my comic shop owner and even people that have read the series, it's very hard to get through. Like, it's a lot of stuff to understand, but I feel like in the world of TV and film, like, you can make it absorb easily. And I loved it. Like, I thought the first couple episodes of Dream, like trying to find his stuff, get out of his prison, all that stuff is straight out of the comics.
Right.
The fourth episode is probably the two favorite episodes or parts, of course, like the episode with Death, I again, I'm very like iffy on how I feel about it. Like, the whole opening conversation is straight out of Sandman #8. And that's the only Sandman book I own because I like Death as a character. And all that beginning stuff with them like sitting in the park all happens. All literally, it's word for word. The only difference is like they're sitting in front of like a fountain. They're sitting in a fountain talking to each other like Dream and Death. And I just didn't, it was just so hard to wrap my head around the character of Death as a black actress because I'm so used to seeing her as a white, like just pale white, black hair person, like creature or endless, whatever. But I loved it. I loved Death. And then the best thing next was the episode with him and the guy who like can't die and they meet up every 100 years.
Dude, that was the best episode by far.
Oh, like that is like it was so cool.
Hob, right? I think
Yeah,
it's
Hob. Yeah. Like, just it's very interesting. Like, when they go to see the bar and it's like run down, and then you start getting the history of like when they first see him in like the 1500s and Death and him walk into the bar, and they have their conversation and they say, oh, "I'll see you in 100 years. I'll see you in 100 years," and it's just such a cool concept, and it's straight out of the comics again. But obviously, I've never read it. But there was a lot of things that I thoroughly enjoyed about this. Like, I know they talked about it that they don't know if they're going to be able to do a season 2 because of how expensive it is. But man, like I told my wife, I told my parents, I was like, yo, you got to check this out. Like, my wife's not into like the comic book stuff, but I'm like, yo, this isn't superhero stuff. Like, you can really get behind it. And I'm excited to like watch it again because I want to see things that I missed that first time around. But all the characters are cool. Like the Corinthian, Lucifer, Despair, Desire, like they're all the whole like concept, like they're endless, like they're kings of their world. Like, that's just so cool. And I feel like I can't believe I've never read Sandman for this reason.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really, really enjoyed it as well. I mean, I'm not surprised it cost so much because visually it was stunning. It was amazing visuals on this show. I think one of the things I really enjoyed the most about it was the storytelling form it had. So like, you start out and it's like, oh, he gets out, he's been held captive. And if you were really to take this as any other comic book show or Netflix show, you would have been like, okay, so the whole first season is basically him getting back his tools. And that's what I kind of thought we were going to get, 10 episodes of him getting back his tools. Yep. And initially I was like, oh God, okay, well, that's going to be 10 episodes of that shit. And they did it in like 4 or 5. And then it's almost like the show was broken up. Not almost, it really was kind of broken up into 2 story arcs with like a little bit in the middle. So you had like the story arc of him getting back his tools of power or whatnot, and his like of his office. And then you had the Hobbs storyline, you had the Death stuff with him, and then you also kind of had, of course,
the Rose Walker stuff.
The Rose Walker is like the last story arc of the season. And then in the middle, throughout the, obviously themes stuck throughout the whole thing, like him being kind of like in the early parts of the show, he's out of touch and he's kind of cold and he's a dick. And then you see how like the Dreaming and the librarians kind of teaching him, like, and he's starting to kind of embrace humanity a little bit and interact with them. The Corinthian was awesome throughout. I mean, dude, his eyes were among the creepiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
The
Like that,
serial killer convention.
the serial killer convention was totally crazy. It was just really, really good. I liked how it was done. I think my only complaint, and this is like not a complaint, but just like it's a complaint that I feel like speaks to the show, is I wanted more. I just want to know, talk more about the Endless. Who are the other ones you didn't mention? You know, talk about Delirium, talk about Destruction. Give me more of the Endless. I just want to know more about that. And of course,
even
that's
like
stuff that's
the
like
nightmares.
saved.
Gallant, like that girl who was who showed up as Rose's brother's mother.
Right.
That makes sense.
Which that was a cool episode too, because it tied it into like the DC universe. I mean, you saw stuff like you saw Captain Cold on a TV screen.
Yeah.
You saw Psycho Pirate, you know, he had a Flash action figure. So it was fun because they leaned into the DC universe without making it Easter eggy. You know what I mean? So like, obviously they moved away from Constantine. Like, so I didn't read any of the books, but of course, as the show was going on, I was kind of like checking to see, it's very much following the storyline. So they took out Constantine. Obviously they didn't bring up Wesley Dodds and kind of the Sandman from Justice Society, which plays a part as well. But they stayed true to the DC universe, which I thought was really cool. I really liked that. It was fun too watching it with my wife because she watched Lucifer, and so that first scene where they go to hell and Lucifer's like Mazakeen was right there. My wife goes, "Oh, that must be Mazakeen," and I'm like, "Oh, who the fuck's Mazakeen?" You know, so she kind of like telling me about it because I never watched Lucifer either.
Yeah,
and then when the show was over, because I kind of looked like what maybe season 2 is going to be about, like Lucifer's story arc in a way, and I was asking her like, well, how does Lucifer start? Like, how does he end up on Earth? And honestly, if you match them up, it looks like it kind of could be moving that way. Obviously, it was a different Lucifer portrayal and whatnot, which was great. But
yeah, it was wild. Like even their little fight, their mind fight, their mind game fight was pretty interesting. The only thing that I will say that was kind of as like a slowdown for me was the episode where the guy.
Are you talking about the diner?
The diner. Wow, dude, you fucking hit me right. You know,
yeah.
Man. Like that was just weird. Like
it was cool, but it was slow too. I get you. It was like a whole episode of that.
Yeah. Like I'm just like, this is not the show that I like, because then he dies. Like it just, or not really. Yeah, he basically dies. It's just like this is really like unnecessary.
Yeah, it seemed like
it really only introduces like the guys for the serial killer part. Like,
right. I really was kind of like that should have been half that episode maybe, because then it was jarring in a way because it just starts and he's in the diner and now you're learning all about these new and I'm like, do I need to know these characters? Like I need to invest in these diner people, the diner dudes. It was cool though, and I'm sure people who read the comics were very much like, this is awesome, this is so great. Because you're getting like a long format of like a little story that probably happened in a book, and you're getting the whole. That was probably like one whole issue or 2 issues in like one episode. It was cool, but I felt that way. I was with you on that.
Yeah, that was the only thing that like discouraged me from like the series itself for this first season was I was actually finding myself fast forwarding a little bit because like you said, I'm like, do I really care? Do I need to know? Like I don't feel like I'm gonna need to know any of these characters, and then. Obviously that story arc ends. But what's great about this season is like, it's not, like you said in the beginning, it's not going to be like, all right, the whole season is him going to try and every couple episodes, he's going to get one of his like things back. He's going to get the bag of sand. He's going to get his helm back. Like, it's not that. He literally gets everything by like the 4th episode or 5th episode. And then you still have 5 episodes to go. And it's still rolling with like 2 story arcs because again, like it's straight out of the comic. So it's a continuous story about Sandman and, who's kind of playing the parts behind the scenes, like who's doing certain things. And then obviously by the end of season 1, you find out who kind of, put him in the bubble, like, kind of moved everything, moved the pieces like a chessboard.
I'll tell you, I think the thing, you said the diner was kind of the thing that slowed you up the most. And look, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but the actress who played Rose Walker was horrible. I couldn't. Her emotions were just, oh my God. Like it was after like 2 episodes of it, I remember watching it and I turned to my wife and I go, is it just me or is she a bad actress? And she goes, oh my God, I was thinking the same thing. Like she just, her reactions and her emotions and like to like every situation that happened, I was like, this is crappy. Like, it really
No,
sucks.
I agree.
So I want to ask you this because you mentioned it to me, and I'm assuming, I don't know if you ever went back, but the bonus episode, did you finish the bonus
Nope.
episode? You stopped watching it
Nope.
just at the scene where the cats go in the water?
Yep. I knew where I was going. I was like, nope.
Dude, well, you might have liked how the episode ended, though.
Nope. Don't care. I don't even want to know.
So
I mean, I'm sure it turns better, but I was like, the moment I saw that guy outside with the bag, I'm like, and the girl's like, where are you going? And I'm like, nope, I know where this is going.
So, for those of you who don't know, it was announced 10 episodes. They did and then they had like a kind of surprise bonus episode, which they divided up into 2 stories. And the first one is about, I'm going to butcher this. I think it's the 1,000 cats of 1,000, something like that. There's some Sandman fan out there like wringing his hand at me right now as I murder that. But yeah, and so it kind of talks about this idea that like, cats initially were the leaders of the world. They were like these large creatures, bigger than humans. And what happened was and humans were like subservient to them. They would eat them, play with them. They'd get cleaned by humans. But then all the humans banded together. 1,000 humans banded together. A dream of 1,000 cats. That's what it's called. 1,000 humans would band together, and they dreamed that the world was different. And because they did that, it changed the world. And that then humans became what the world as we know now. So this mother of the cats that Justin's talking about, that has all of her kittens murdered, is like going around and kind of grassroots movement trying to convince cats to all dream together. And if they can get 1,000 cats to dream together of a world where they're dominant, Dream tells her that it can happen. They can change the world. But then it also is kind of funny because it's like, well, when are you going to be able to get 1,000 cats to dream the same thing? So it was cool. It was animated. The second story was, and so you didn't watch the second part either?
Nope.
Okay. So
No,
the
I
second,
just kind of, because I don't know, like
Right.
that thing, like kind of just, obviously it bothered me. I was like, yeah, I can't continue. I knew where it was going.
gotcha.
And then I was just like, well, it probably doesn't add anything to like this season for me. Like I kind of want to go off on like a high note, I guess.
Well, I will say that the second episode, or the second part of that episode, does. Like, it's a story about Calliope, who's one of the muses from like Greek literature, Homer's muse, and you find out more about how she was previously Dream's wife. They had their son together, Orpheus, and it talks about how Orpheus dies a little bit. It doesn't really give you any information, but Calliope is kind of like held hostage by this writer who's using her to, write more classics and be successful, and she's held prisoner. And
Is that the same girl who's in hell?
No, that's different. That's another one of his lovers. But it's really good because it kind of shows Calliope hates Morpheus. They despise each other as far as she's concerned, but she has to reach out to him because she has no one else is helping her. And it shows the change of Morpheus from previous to now, and how they kind of talk about how he's like, look, I'm different now. I've experienced a few, some different things. So it kind of really shows the growth of his character. And it's a cool story too. And it, like I said, it touches on how they have a son together, which is, might be kind of important later. So all in all, what would you rank it?
It definitely was probably one of the best comic book series that I've watched in a very long time.
Agreed.
Like Marvel, DC, indie, and again, like we said earlier, you and I have never read anything.
Right.
Like, so the fact that you can literally take it and I can watch, and I will watch the series again. I thought it was amazing because there are so many little things that I didn't pick on, like obviously Cain and Abel, that history of biblical, there's so much stuff that you're just you want to know about. I know about Cain and Abel, but there's just so many little things that show up in the series that, like you said, the little hidden Easter eggs, and then there's other things that are just so much important that I want to go back and check out. So yeah, I thought it was a great. I would definitely highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't watched it, and who, even if you've never read the series, it doesn't matter. You can go into this completely blind and enjoy it.
Yeah, agreed. I really enjoyed it as well. Visually, it's amazing. It's breathtaking. Some of the scenes and and whatnot. So check it out if you haven't watched it. You know, I'd like to see more. So, you know, it's going to take views and buy-in from viewers to convince them to do it again, to do another season. And I don't doubt it that it cost a lot of money. I mean, shit, man.
Oh yeah, I mean it's complete. It's literally all green screen until they're like in the human world,
Right,
they're not
right.
in the dreaming. And I think it's just so cool, like how they name everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to go back and rewatch it again when I have a
Yeah.
chance.
Cool. So that's our TV news for for DC/Vertigo, and now we're gonna move on to a little mid-season review as we usually do here of the Marvel shows. We're gonna talk about She-Hulk. So episodes 1 through 4 have come out. It's like 9 episodes. So we thought we'd hit the mid-season here after episode 4. So Justin, you want to start us off with She-Hulk thoughts? I'm kind of I'm interested to see
You're always interested in my
about what
Marvel
you're
ones.
gonna say because man.
All right, so yeah, going into this, the first trailer was and then but I was like, I was still behind it. And the second trailer got me going. Like, I'm really interested to see this series. So it was like, let's check this out, right? I'm excited for the series. I feel like the first episode kind of started off strong. Like, obviously, who you get to learn who she is. You see Bruce, the whole story, them training. I thought it was interesting. And then past that, like, I don't know, like, I'm not too fond of this series. And you know what? And I know everyone's out there, everyone's like, well, if you haven't read like She-Hulk, you don't get it. Or, I mean, I like the fourth wall breaking stuff. I feel like this series is just like, I feel like it's not the worst of the Marvel stuff, but
Right.
it's definitely not the best of the Marvel stuff. So, I feel like we came off of like a high from Ms. Marvel. I thought that was great. And then you're going into this, and I feel like I loved this past week's episode, episode 4 with Wong. Like, you finally got to see some fighting. You got to team up, like, and that's cool. Like, I feel like that's really what they talked about in like the first episode, or even in like the trailers. Like, oh, there's gonna be cameos. Like, you're gonna see Bruce and Bronsky and Wong. Well, that's cool. We got to see Wong and her fight like some demons, which was pretty dope. Again, we always talk about it. Marvel just can't keep villains bad, right? So Bronsky's got to be a rehabilitated person and is not the Abomination, and the Abomination that we know, whether in comics or from the Hulk film. So, not really a fan of how they went with that. And then just, I really don't know where they're going to go with like this series. Like, I guess you really just watch it to watch it. They obviously, and I feel like we've talked about this every series or everything that's coming out. Like, everything can't move the phase like they should.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like just watch it every week, and either you enjoy it, you don't. But for right now, I'm like at a plateau. Like, at least episode 4 was cool. Like I said, a little bit with the team up thing, but I don't know. I guess we're gonna get more Titania because that's kind of how this cliffhanger left after episode 4. So that's about it from me on this one. What about you, man? How are you liking it or not liking it?
Yeah. I came into it on a high where I was like, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be really good. And I'm kind of in the same spot you are right now, where I'm not like weekly looking like where I'm like, oh man, can't wait to watch She-Hulk this week. And dude, I want to say something here, and I don't want it to come across like this is something that bugs me necessarily, because like I don't really care, but I feel like it's been going kind of hard in the paint against like the reverse of I don't know if it's a hardcore feminism. Like, I honestly feel like every time they talk, it's like really trying to bring down like men in a way. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, that third episode. Like, what was the point of having like 2 stories in that third episode where they had to have the guy, dating like a shapeshifter,
Right.
Like, there was no point to have that in the episode at all. Like, just keep it to She-Hulk. Like, why do you got to make men look stupid because they believe that they can date Megan Thee Stallion?
Well, and it wasn't even so much like that. It was just like, it was so extra. Like, that guy was so bad. Like, that guy was like over the top bad. And, I'm sure there's people out there being like, well, they've been doing that to women, in film and stuff for years and for generations. And you're probably right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't really think about that kind of stuff, but it's like glaring in your face a little bit. And it's just, to me, it's taking away from the story for me. You know, I'm
Hmm.
just saying, the Megan Thee Stallion shit. I know there's been like a bit of an uproar about that. Like, I don't really care. I think Megan Thee Stallion's garbage, to be honest with you. But
I don't even know one of her songs, but I'm
I,
sure if like they played it, I
you
may
know
sing it.
it. But it's garbage. She's a garbage artist in my opinion.
Okay.
But bringing her in, yeah, whatever. It's kind of dumb in my opinion, but I also don't care that much. It's just, I don't know. Like you said, I'm with you. Like the Emil Blonsky stuff, I was really looking forward to, the Abomination, and maybe, you know, there's rumors that he might show up in the Thunderbolts, and maybe we'll get back to it that way. But I don't know. It hasn't paid out for me yet. I'm not crazy about fourth wall breaking stuff. I'm not a big Deadpool fan either,
Hmm.
but so it's not really my cup of tea. The fourth wall breaking thing. I've read some She-Hulk, and I understand that it is it's spot on with She-Hulk and like the books and stuff for sure. Like the vein of the character and the theme of the character. Um, I
I
don't
hate the
know.
problem like that. The episodes like just when like the episode starts getting to the good point, it's
Yeah,
over, right?
right. I know what you mean.
Like it's like right at that like those last 2 or 3 minutes are like really good for like I think even like episode 2 and 3, and then all of a sudden it's like credits, and then of course they do the 8 minutes of credits because I don't understand why Marvel needs, you know, 8 minutes of credits because you literally start the show and you're like, all right, it's 38 minutes long, and then the episode ends at like 29 minutes, and I got to sit through credits for every country, and nothing against other countries, but it's just annoying. Like,
Yeah.
then why? Like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. It hasn't been great. It hasn't been the worst. I guess time will tell. I'm honestly really at this point I'm just waiting for Daredevil to show up. I mean, that's to
Oh
be
yeah,
honest
that's
with
right.
you.
Because yeah, he'll be
That's
in a
really
week
what
or
I'm waiting
two.
for. Because I just don't know where it's gonna go anymore. Like at this point. So the Wrecking Crew stuff was cool, I guess. Like I
Was that
liked
really cool though? Like,
No, it
was
really
that really
wasn't. You're
cool?
right. It really wasn't. The idea of the Wrecking Crew was awesome. And I'm like, right out the gate, I'm like, oh, cool, the Wrecking Crew. That should be great. And then I'm like, oh, that's the Wrecker? Like, I don't even know who that actor is. And the Wrecker as a character in Marvel Universe is, I don't want to say he's a badass villain, but he's been around for a very long time. The
Hmm.
Wrecking Crew is a very well known villain crew in the Marvel Universe. And I hope that's not the iteration we're getting. Like,
Yeah, because like in reality, like we really haven't gotten, I don't think, other than the Black Order, what like team
villain
have we
group.
gotten?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I
Anybody?
don't whack ass Sinister Six. That wasn't even
Yeah,
six
like
members.
not,
The
but yeah,
Sinister
like
Five.
yeah, it's never been like a team like that of like villains where you could say, hey, like, oh yeah, this is from the Marvel universe, like
Right.
Marvel comics. We've never seen anything like that or anything even close. Whether they're C or D list teams, at least the Wrecking Crew is kind of like a known, they hit all the different characters. They've been in the Avengers and Hulk and
Yeah.
She-Hulk. Like they've been in
Thor.
all these comics, and then that's how you bring them is just. But I guess the main thing is like, who do they work for? Like.
Right. And it could be their tools. I mean, the tools make the Wrecking Crew. So maybe this isn't the final iteration of the Wrecking Crew that
Mhm.
we're going to see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of was hoping for a little bit more. Granted, we're only 4 episodes in. There's still 5 left. And like we both said, it's not horrible. It's not the worst. It's not the best.
Yeah.
But like some high points, I like. I like the actress playing She-Hulk. I think she's great. I think she's doing a really good job. The CGI doesn't really bug me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either.
Um,
I just think even like she even says like in one of the episodes, like, don't forget who this series is about.
right.
And it's really not about her. Like there's just too much of these other characters that are thrown in there, I feel.
Yeah. Then that's the thing we've talked about that before in the past is that that's the problem with Marvel. Ever since we got too used to Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, and all of our characters are all together. Like that's the problem when you bring in all these Easter eggs and these characters. Like, trust me, I want to see them too, and I want to see them interact. But when you do that, you don't give a character any room to stand on its own and develop on its own. And not only, like you said, don't forget who this story's about. I'm not really sure what the story's about yet, right?
I
Like,
think this episode 4 was more Wong, and it's interesting and funny than he's literally come back. He was in episode 3,
right.
and now he's back for episode 4, and I feel like he literally took over this entire episode.
Like, what's the I'm not entirely sure what the plot of this show is. Like, where is it going? What's it trying to do here? I mean, what's her storyline? I don't
Yeah,
know.
we know nothing. And I
Yeah.
feel like that was the one thing that you definitely didn't see it. I mean, I feel like everything in the trailers we've seen other than Daredevil.
Right.
I
Right.
feel like.
I mean, I would like to, the whole aspect of like the attorney at law. I thought that was very interesting to show a superhero in the real people world as like a lawyer and stuff. They should be leaning into that heavier. Like, honestly, at this point, I think I would have appreciated or been a bigger fan of every episode being almost like Law and Order procedural, where like she's doing cases against each like. So like this last one was a stupid case with the dark elf or the light elf or whatever. But
Well, no, episode 4 or episode 3?
episode 3, sorry.
Yeah.
And but if you did something like that each episode, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, I guess I'm saying it now. We had that Emil Blonsky in episode 2, and then we had that one, right? And then they kind of blurred those two. Episode 3 was Emil, right?
2 and 3 kind of was the same.
And we know Frogman's coming, right?
Oh, that's right. The Frogman from the trailers. All right. So that's one other thing that God, I don't know where this story is going to go after.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have hope that the ship will right itself and it'll be good, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
So yeah, I mean, right now I'm just, walking down the road, watching the episodes. I'm not
right.
I'm not like, oh God, I got to watch this before everybody spoils it. Like, yeah, Daredevil's going to show up at some point. It's not like it's a spoiler because it's happening. So I'll be happy when it happens. And then, right around the corner, and we'll be watching Andor. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at right now. And Disney Day. And I feel like, we're recording this the day before they're going to announce all these things. We probably will end up going live at some point, maybe one of us or both of us, or who knows, to talk about all the announcements for the upcoming Marvel things. So
I haven't even started watching Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings show yet.
Oh yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes.
I'm gonna try to get into that tonight, maybe.
And if anybody cares, Morbius is on Netflix.
Morbin time. I need to watch it. I never watched. I told you
I watched it last night. I literally fast forwarded the majority of the movie until like he starts getting his powers.
Well, I had to leave the movie theater.
All right, well,
so I never saw the end. Yeah.
Then you get to watch that. Of course, Thor: Love and Thunder. I asked my brother if he wanted to watch Thor: Terrible and Awful.
Is it on Disney Plus now?
Yeah, it's that today. Thor, Pinocchio, the Obi-Wan like documentary, Jedi's Return is called. Making of Thor, I believe, and a couple other things that National Geographic stuff. But
cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch the Star Wars one like immediately.
Cool.
So,
yeah, let's get into. Let's wrap it up with like we always do. What you are currently reading? You want to start off?
So I really don't have a pick of the week. I just have a lot of honorable mentions this week, surprisingly, with everything that came out. So honorable mention goes out to issue 6 of Batman Beyond Neo Year. Wrapped up that storyline, actually series because it's only a mini. Does gives you hopes because Batman Beyond will come back in 2023 as the final pages kind of tell you, but good little story arc. I kind of like how Batman Beyond does these. He's done several ongoing series, but also Batman Beyond has had a lot of like little mini series. So I did like the Neo Year. It does introduce the post Batman Beyond death of Bruce Wayne, so you kind of get the fallout from that. And you're going to see, I guess, going in 2023, a world without Bruce Wayne, because this is going to be an ongoing series in 2023 without Bruce. So who does he have? He doesn't really have the gadgets too much. Where is he going to stay? He does work a little bit with Barbara Gordon in this mini series. So it's going to be interesting in 2023 once it launches with the new number 1. Another honorable mention. I can't believe I'm actually enjoying this series. Ghost Rider issue number 6 this week.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah. Wolverine and him and just the insane stuff that's going on in this series. Like just, God, man, they are just ripping Johnny Blaze apart. Like just these creatures that are coming out of him. But of course, like to sell some more comics, you always bring in Wolverine because that's, any comic will do that, I guess. Like I feel like this will definitely be, if you didn't pick up number 1, this will probably be another one just because it's a cool cover and it's got Wolverine in it. And then I guess last but not least, we are one issue away from the final Once in Future 29. Kieran Gillian, we love it. Zach and I, did you read 29?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh man, you're gonna be so good.
Is it a cliffhanger?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yeah. It's definitely good, but they wrap up a lot of storylines. They introduce some pretty badass stuff, and Dan Mora's art is phenomenal. So
It's been so good.
yeah, I love it. I love the Runs in Future, and one more issue to go for all this Arthurian lore stuff, and like we said, around 30 issues is a perfect way to end the series. So
they must have been listening to the podcast.
I guess. So, but what about you, man? What are you currently reading?
So, I didn't think about this until you said it, but I don't necessarily have a pick of the week either. But actually, that's not true. I guess I think I do. I think honorable mention for me is going to be the Dark Knights of Steel one shot. I thought that was really fun. It was like Tales of the Kingdom or something like that.
Couldn't get into that, but we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Before you go into your next one, talk about it.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I liked seeing like some of the origin in terms of like the Robins, and I really liked the Bane storyline. I thought was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't by any means like amazing, but I enjoyed it. What you didn't know?
You know what the problem is, and I feel like this is always with some series, and especially now with this. Dark Knights of Steel #1 came out last year, like November.
Oh yeah, they're just like,
and we're
making
only
money.
on issue 7, and then you're giving these little one shots.
Yeah.
Like, just finish it's 12 issues, so that means you should finish it in a year. So
DC's
by
doing
November,
the same shit with the DC versus vampires as well. They're dragging.
oh
that
yeah,
shit out
all
too.
the all-out war stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like, you know what the thing is? I didn't even know this one shot was coming out this week, and I actually had to go back and be like, wait, did it finish? No, wait, no, I still have it. And I'm like, did I read all the issues? And I was like, yeah, I've read all 7 issues. Like, I know where I'm at. But just keep going. Like, give me.
I hear you.
Just give me the issues. I want to finish this thing. I don't know.
I think my pick of the week is let me make sure I get the issue right. Batman 127. I'm really enjoying Chip Zdarsky's run on Batman. What are we, like 3 issues in already? I don't know shit about Batman Zur-Ar, but I'm really liking the way it's going. I'm loving the story. I think Zdarsky's doing a great job. I like the little Catwoman storyline at the end, which I think it concluded on this issue. I don't know if what it'll be next, if it'll keep going with her or someone else, but kind of wraps. So I don't want to spoil it, but so there's a bit of a surprise in that little storyline, and I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying Batman by Chip Zdarsky. I'm really enjoying Chip Zdarsky in general right now, but it's a great title. But yeah, that's what I am currently reading. So cool, everybody. Thanks for listening again. This will be dropping tomorrow. I say tomorrow, but on September 9th, 2022. Like Justin said, we might try to do something this weekend to kind of recap Disney Plus Day. Any kind of news. Maybe we'll go live on YouTube. Maybe we'll do a quick little recording. Both of us, one of us. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. But Justin, anything coming up for you?
This weekend there is the ZapCon, which got postponed for 2 years. So here in New Jersey, Zap Comics, they're so big and they have so many comics. They actually put on their own convention, basically. So up in it's at the Wayne PAL. So if you're listening to this early enough, Wayne, New Jersey, ZapCon. They have like a ton of artists and writers that are going to be there, and then tons of books for sale. So I'll be up there on Saturday. But most importantly, next Saturday, King Kong 3 is back. So, of course, if you don't know, we've had Greg MTG Comics on here before talking about the King Kong show. That show is on Saturday, September 17th at the APA Hotel in Island, New Jersey. You can find it at King Kong Show on Instagram. Obviously, it's for the community, by the community. A lot of community vendors, not like stores or long-time people that have been vending, people that are new to vending. I will be there. A lot of other people, of course, Pressable Defects will be there. E-Rod 212, the NY Warriors, everyone's going to be kind of setting up, and that's only the few people that I know that are going to be setting up at that show. So Saturday, September 17th, next Saturday, we are a week away. I'm so excited for that, to see everybody, because I feel like it's been, 2 months since Terrificon, so it's going to be good to see everybody again. So that's all I got. Thanks everybody for checking us out. And again, final thing real quick, based on, our earlier conversation of, suicide prevention hotline, like Zach said, where you can find it, 988, and or please reach out to us if you ever want to talk.
Yeah. And also, surprise, actually, I was going to say I have something coming up possibly. On Sunday, I'm going to be doing a Whatnot sale, one of my rare Whatnot sales, where join in. It's going to be almost complete stories, complete runs, pretty much is what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make room. I'm not really caring too much about what the prices go, so I'm going to be pricing them at like $1, $2 a book. That's it, probably to start off for complete stories, complete runs on Whatnot. So check out the Manimal. Find me on Whatnot. Going to be Sunday, probably 10 a.m. my time, which is Mountain Time, noon or Central or Eastern Time, Eastern Time, 9 Pacific Time. But yeah, so complete runs, complete sets. Come get them. Come get it all. Get it at the shit out of my house. So that's what I'm trying to do. I need to make some room. Nice. So anyway, but like Justin said, all things aside, reach out for help if you ever need help, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.